Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at you. And now we normally don't start a video like this, but I have got to do this first and foremost, because it's not about us, it's about the Lord. And Kay Nash just came out with this video about Yom Kippur. There it is right there. You can see the title of the video and everything. And we would just highly, highly suggest that you go watch it, like, soon as possible. I know people might be like, why are you directing traffic away from your channel to someone else's channel? Because it's not about me, it's not about her, it's not about Kay Nash, it's not about Lana Vassar or Ryan Lestrange or whoever else is God's using to minister into your life. It's about the Lord. And I tell you what, if we find anything that we feel is going to be beneficial to anyone who comes to our channel, we're going to share it.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in the past that I wish we hadn't shared, but you can't predict the future, and you got to do what you got to do in the moment you got to do it, And so we just know that video right there that she did, oh my gosh, it was so good.
Yeah.
It's like half as long as ours, so it's short.
Yeah.
But anyway, you want to welcome the people? Give them a patented welcome.
Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad that you're here, and we just are. We just really come and we just share what the Lord puts on our hearts to share, and pray that it blesses you in your own walk with the Lord. And also, once again, a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support us. We really appreciate each and every one of you.
You have no idea.
And we are support based, so if you would like to support us, you can. We have a PayPal link below, and you can just click that.
Yes.
And
thank you so much, guys. You guys are awesome.
Yes.
Praise the Lord, but thank you.
Yes.
And thank you. And thank you.
Thank yous all around. So for today's video, what we wanted to do is just really kind of...
it's time to wrap up.
Exactly. It's time to wrap up.
Time to wrap up the time.
And so last week, the Lord was just every single day giving us time to. And we finish off with the time to drive. Well, we received two more of those. One was that same day in the evening. The Lord was speaking to Devin, and we just felt like he was saying time to regain. And then the Saturday morning, I received time to mend. And so we just want to talk about those a little bit, and then also what the Lord shared with us yesterday, which was Sunday. And there really has been a shift. We even Saturday...
changed the channel completely.
Yeah, Saturday night we were starting to feel that. And then come Sunday, it was like, all right,
Yep.
There were no more time twos that the Lord was declaring to us, but he was starting to speak to us about some other things.
And it was regarding times and seasons, but it was almost like, I felt like it was like a recap of everything, and like it was really good. We'll get more into it.
Yeah.
As we go on.
So first, let's start off with time to regain. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. God gave me this vision a while ago, and he showed me almost like, how you kind of like section off, like in science when you dissect something, you split it in half. And I felt like the Lord showed me like myself, but like I was cut all the way down the middle, and like half of me was walking around and another half of me was somewhere else. And I was like, wow, that's terrible. And I felt like, in reference to the time twos, there's a time and a season for everything, a time to be born and a time to die. And then we reference in that video about how we've been just really, God's with the tearing down and the overthrowing and the destroying and the killing and the uprooting and all of that. I felt like the Lord was like, that's the half that you've been walking in, And I'm there and at the desk, and the Lord's just doing something random. And the Lord's like, it's time to regain. And then I was like, whoa, I thought we were supposed to get time twos till the morning.
Yeah.
You're breaking in the evening.
He's like, speaking double.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. But I felt like the Lord was like, it's time to regain your confidence. It's time to regain your heart. It's time to regain your passion. And I was just like, whoa. And I mean, it hit me like a crater.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, okay. I really was feeling what the Lord was saying there. And so I ended up going to the bathroom. And then the Lord began to speak right away again about that. It was probably only 10 minutes later. And he was like, it's time to regain your heart.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Lord, what do you mean about the regain? Can you share more about that with me? Because I was ready to hear more. Because a lot of times God speaks and it's like, well, hold on. Let me absorb that. Yeah. Okay, good, go. And so he was like, it's time to regain that which was lost. And man, and then I came out and I shared it with Michelle barely. Yeah. I mean, I was just about ready to sob like a baby. I mean, it was hard for me to even talk. I was so weepy, because it was just, it just touched my heart, God was just like, it's time to regain, because it really was, again, another confirmation of it's time to go cross over and see the goodness of God and start seeing the birthings, start seeing the fruit, start seeing all the good 14s, the other 14 things that were like time to be born, time to dance, time to laugh, time to embrace. Hello. Time for all the good, cool things. It's like time to build, time to plant.
Yeah, time for peace, time for love.
Yes, thank you. Time to live. And it's like, it's time to get that which was lost, and that's that other half of you. Time to bring you back together whole again. And it's like, I'm not taking away anything that I've done in this season, these past couple years. No, I'm going to marry that now to what I'm about to do. And it's kind of cool, because when you look at the promised land and then you look at the wilderness, it's cut in half by a river.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's God's like, I'm doing both of those. I did one thing here in this time. Now I'm moving over into this time, and this is what you're going to see in this time. And it really took my focus off of the promises and the house and all that stuff. The physical stuff, the stuff that we gave up and now we need it back. You know what I mean? It's like we gave up this stuff and now we're praying for this stuff. Anyway. But it took it to the heart level for me. Yeah. But not just to the heart level. It took it to the center core of the earth heart level of like, it's time to regain and recover all, that type of thing. But it was like yourself, your heart, your joy, your everything, all the good stuff that was set aside for a while to do this hard thing.
Yeah, and so, and with that, we're reminded of 2 Kings 8, chapter 8, verse 6, and it was talking about the woman. She had been gone out of the country because of a famine, and she for 7 years, and then she comes back.
And a certain officer scripture.
Yeah, and it says, when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed to her a certain officer, saying, restore all that was hers and all the fruits of the field since the day that she left the land, even until now. Basically here it's like the king he's saying, hey, you can regain everything that you had lost, because she had to leave. I believe it was because of the famine in the land.
Because of the 7-year famine, that God proclaimed a certain time frame in which this is just how long it's going to be.
Yeah. And so, and it's like, so she restored it all. And even that from the time when she was away, which I think is just really awesome, because the Lord's like, I'm going to restore to you, but you're also going to recover everything during the time. What
as
should
if
have
there had been no famine at all.
Exactly. And so that was just like a key verse that I felt like the Lord was highlighting with the regain part of it. And I just loved it too, because it really is, the Lord is talking about like just all of it, the heart, the passion, all that was lost, and the confidence. I think even the confidence in Him, for me, that's been like a huge thing that I've gone through. And I think because, the Lord is talking really so much, not just physically regaining things, but also in your heart and your relationship towards the Lord.
Yeah.
And just regaining even confidence in Him. If you've even experienced a little bit of what we have, and so many times you think, oh, this is the time that the Lord's going to do something, and then it doesn't happen. It's like there's something that it makes you less confident the next time. It's like, ooh, well, I think it's the Lord, so I'm going to believe, but I was wrong again, and that sort of thing. And so I think the Lord He was bringing a healing there. And that's actually something that out of this last week for me personally, like I feel like the Lord has brought so much healing to my heart in regards to the time frame and just, and bringing healing.
So fulfillment of that prophetic word that
was.
Lighthouse Global came out with.
Yeah. And it's just like, wow, Lord, that's what you've been doing. And He really has, we shared in the last video about the vision you had of just being blind and being led by the Lord. And God really showed me, He was like, yeah, I've been blinding you to the time frame. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
And the importance of it, because He was like, it was so vital that I blind you to the time frame so you would come after me and my heart rather than the timing and the things.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, thank you, Lord, for that, because that's the truth. Because we didn't have the time frame, the only one we could go to, it's like, oh, we have to go to the Lord. If we're going to continue to believe and move forward, we have to hold on to Him.
Yeah.
And so that, I don't know, the Lord just really been working that in my heart lately. And it's just like, wow, God, you really are so good and bringing healing personally for me in that area.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of goes into
the next morning.
I woke up and I really felt the Lord was speaking about time to mend. And
which is a word that I got while I was in this here chair right here, weeping and sobbing. It just kind of came to me, but I never shared it.
Yeah.
So it was I just felt like the Lord, like, it's time to mend. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens when you take those two halves and you put them back together. Yep. You're mending them. And but I didn't say anything. And then you woke up and you're like, it's time to mend. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Last night, ...
Yeah. And so I woke up on Saturday morning and I just had, time to mend. And it really, if you look it up, it means like to repair, complete, to fix. And so I was just like, oh, okay. And I really felt like the Lord was specifically talking about like relational mending, as far as just like our relationship with Him, but relationships with other people, like in your family. But then as a whole, He wants to mend the church back together.
Yeah, relationships in the church. Yeah.
And so I felt very specific to relationships, but then overall just like a healing and a mending that He wants to do in our hearts. And I was reminded, as I was looking up the word mend, and I guess it would be the Strong's Concordance, and the word that's used
the original
there,
like Hebrew or Greek or something. Yeah. And
so it can be referred to mend. It's like complete or fix or to make perfect. And I was reminded it's in 1 Peter 5:10.
Oh, that's that really long Greek word we had that morning, right?
Yes.
The
I 14
letters
how to say
or something. I'm like, I bet they didn't use this that much back then.
No, I think it's literally used only like 13
it's like
times
super
or something.
Long. I'm like, dang, that's a long word.
But it's like, and after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who imparts all blessing and favor, who has called you to His own eternal glory in Christ Jesus, will Himself complete and make you what you ought to be. And that complete and make you what you ought to be is that word mend. And
that's
then
that really long word.
Yeah, basically. And that's really what it means. And so it's like the Lord will mend. It's like after you've suffered for a while, God is going to come and mend your heart and establish and ground you securely and strengthen and settle you. Because that's really what's needed. You know, it's after suffering, after being torn, after being
cut in half.
Yeah. It's like, he's like, I'm going to come mend you back together, and I'm going to just really settle your hearts and strengthen you and just kind of, you know, heal you. I just thinking like, you know, even Jesus, he went through his time in the wilderness of testing. And after that, it said that angels came and ministered to him. It was like, and they fed him. And so there was, I think, in a sense, that's like the mending. It's like that, let me just strengthen you, bring you back, complete you, all of that. And again, it was also, it just kind of went, that day we also looked at 1 Thessalonians 3:10 through 13. And Paul was writing to the church, and they were praying that they could come and see them and mend and make good whatever may be imperfect and lacking in your faith. And it goes on further to say, so that he may strengthen and confirm and establish your hearts. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so we were like, whoa, we just read this. And so I just felt like God was just speaking that as well, that there's going to be a time where he's going to mend our hearts personally, especially in places where, you know, we feel like we've been hurt by the Lord. And or places where, you know, that there's just tension in your relationship with the Lord himself. But then I just feel like he also really wants to bring about a mending of his family. And that's interactions between people and the body of Christ. And he really wants that unity. You know, there was the scattering of the stones, but then there was also the gathering of the stones. And, you know, we are all living stones. And it's like the Lord is like, he really is going to be gathering his people. That's actually been something that has kind of come up in the last couple of days. Even yesterday we were reading a scripture, and it was talking about like coming from afar, you know, from the north, from the west, from Sinim or someplace like that.
Which is like modern day China.
That area. And it was like they would be coming from all directions of the gathering that the Lord has. And I just...
Is that Isaiah 49:12?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just believe that the Lord is like, there is a gathering of his people, a bringing together in unity and mending just just mending the heart of his body and his people. Because there's been a lot of tearing away in just individuals, but as a whole in the body of Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I also was sensing like the Lord was just saying like some of the things that we have gone through. Well, I don't know how to explain it, so work with me. I say that to Michelle all the time. Yeah. Just work with me. It's like I had a vision one time in my Ancient Ruins visions. I had a vision of me in this really tiny little bathroom with a little mirror in it. It was a little like Adobe clay structure bathroom, and I took this robe off, and on this robe, on my body, underneath this robe were these huge, it was almost like huge burn marks, and they were all swelled up. I mean, they were huge. They were probably raised up off my body by like 2.5, 3 inches, and they were just like a big, huge mark. Like God took a godly Sharpie and just drew across my chest and across my back. And I remember there being 3 stripes. And I just knew, I was standing there gripping this sink. And my head was down, and I was just like, oh, Lord Jesus. And I was just sharing my pain. I was just like, whoa, this is just really, really painful. This is a painful thing to carry. And so I believe it was on the day that you were talking about the mending. Was that Saturday? Yeah, and I just saw the Lord do this thing to me where he was it was on that morning, because it was before you even told me about it, because it was in my quiet time, my little personal God time. The Lord came to me, and like and it was an ancient ruins vision, and my robe was off, and it was like the Lord was like, here, come here, let's take that off. It's like when you go, someone breaks a limb, and then they go and they get their cast taken off. You know, I just felt like the Lord. It was like the Lord took. It was like, you have like a little like a piece of tape on something that's holding like a gift or something together. He just started peeling off, and he was like, here, let's peel that off. And it was like he just peeled off that big, huge scar, and it was just like it was taped on. And I was like, what? I was like, and underneath I looked amazing. Way more amazing than I look right now underneath this shirt. But I looked amazing. I mean, I was ripped. I was cut. I was like, whoa, awesome. And that's all he did. He's like, hey, come here. Let's just take this off. Yeah. And he's like, all right. And I just felt like, wow. I had a lot of questions. But the answer to the questions I had, the Lord was like, I did that to Jesus. I did that to my own son. I put the sin of the world on him. I taped the greatest wound and the heaviest burden upon him. Yeah. But then the Lord was like, resurrection took it off. Resurrection is what removed it from him. And the Lord was like, yes, I put this on you. I did. I put this on you, and I knew it was going to be painful, but I also knew that the work that the wound would do in you, and the woundedness and the heaviness of the suffering, that's really what it represents, is suffering. I knew that suffering was going to work something in you, so that when I took it off, what I needed to have worked would remain in there. The thing that I put you in, the season and the time that I put you in, was just a mechanism for what I wanted to work in you. And I feel like the Lord is saying that a lot of you, that's going to happen. God's just going to remove the tension. He's going to remove it, and then in doing the removing, that is going to be the healing. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen for everybody. No, this is a cosmic word from the Lord. I'm just saying for some people, it's going to be like the way it was for me, and God's just going to remove it. And when there's when the resurrection power of God comes to do what He's going to do in your life, it's just going to happen. That healing is going to happen. It's going to be instantaneous. But yeah, it's the application of a prophetic word in different people's lives is going to be different. But that's what's going to happen to some people. It's just going to be taken off. Yeah. God's going to resurrect you. God's going to bring you out. It's like, that's really what God's talking about with me. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to resurrect you. By mending you, I'm putting you back together. It's like I'm resurrecting the full 100%, full-blown Devin again. And then that's going to be the healing. Yeah. And then which I've worked in your life during this time and season is going to still be there. Yeah.
So actually just kind of another thing that the Lord had been encouraging us. I feel like He's really been encouraging us a lot in the last couple of days. He's always encouraging us, right. But at the same time, it was just we've been seeing 101 a lot, which for us really just reminds us to have faith. And there's a long story that goes with all of that.
It's like college classes. You go to college classes, everything's a 101. It's like, this is the beginning. This is the foundation of everything that you're going to learn from here on out. And it's all about faith. So it's like, for us, it's about faith and just having faith in the Lord. And then we were seeing 535, and it's kind of funny because I was like, I think I want to share that 535, and literally we saw 535. So, but basically this scripture, it's Mark chapter 5, verse 35 and 36. So, Bible's always good to get out when you're doing videos about the Lord. Anyway, so where do we want to start? 535. Okay, so this is Jairus' daughter's situation. Okay. While he was still speaking, the Lord was speaking to the woman who just got healed of the issue of blood. There came some from the ruler's house who said to Jairus, "Your daughter has died. Why bother and distress the teacher any further?" Overhearing but ignoring, someone give him a praise. Overhearing but ignoring what they said, Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not be seized with alarm and struck with fear. Only keep on believing.
Yeah. And so I just really, I don't know, I feel like the Lord just wants to encourage some people, because I think, and I know for us even, like the enemy can come at you at any point and start speaking things, and he could even be correct about your situation. This man came and told Jairus, hey, your daughter had died. Well, yes, she had died, but Jesus is like, ignore all of that. He's like, I'm going to ignore all that. And he tells him, like, don't be seized with alarm, or struck with fear. He's like, only keep on believing. And, of course, the story, it continues on, and Jesus goes and he raises Jairus' daughter back to life. And it's like...
Seems to be a theme.
Yeah, exactly. It's the resurrection. And so it's like, even when there are things in our lives, that come and are telling us differently than what the Word of God had said.
Hey, focus on your physical situation.
Yeah.
Focus on that. The Lord, he's disappointed you and he's damaged you and he's wounded you. Forget that. Focus on this situation. What are you going to do?
Yeah. and it's like, Jesus is saying, like, hey, don't listen to that.
Yeah.
Just focus on me and keep believing, keep trusting, keep going after my heart and what I'm saying and speaking over your life. Yeah. And
even
really,
in the face of death.
Yeah.
Death.
Or even in the face of time, that for us has been a huge, it's
been a killer.
It's been the tension maker.
It really has.
And like I said, we've been blinded to the time frame, so pretty much this whole journey. And it's like, but then the Lord is saying, hey, just continue to believe. He's like, I am asking you to believe for this year. And time marches on, and you're just like, okay, this year?
Lord, you do realize we're in October again.
I'm just, and it's like those fears, but Jesus is saying, don't be seized with fear or alarm or anything.
Don't look at the earthly circumstance.
Don't think that it's too late, because it's not. I'm the God of resurrection. I am the God who can do anything at any time.
Yes.
And I was journaling one night, and I just really felt like God was just like reminding me. He's like, I am the maker of time. Yeah. Like, I am not,
time doesn't stand in my way.
Yeah, it's like time doesn't stand in my way. I can make things happen like this that would take years to do. It's like what God can do
Glory
in a second, in a moment, is beyond, things that we could do in a lifetime. And it's like, we have to remember who is the maker of time. And God is like, I made it, so I can have it do for me what I want, how I want. It's not something that stands in my way. And I think for so many, for us even, it's like we see the time, and it's like, oh,
it's bigger than God.
It is. So it's like what God can do in a second, and just, I don't know, just time in general is just like, we don't need to be afraid of it. We don't need to, you don't want to put it above the Lord. He made time. Yeah. And he's had time stand still. And he's, Philip, he was transported places, talk about,
sure.
That's the whole point of miracles. It's like you have a miraculous healing.
It eliminates the time process.
It does. You don't have to recover or, anything like that. It's like, boom, you're done, you're healed. And so it's like, with the Lord, all things really are possible. And
time is not the thing that heals or mends. There's that famous saying, time heals all wounds. No, it don't.
The Lord
sometimes
heals
it makes
all
the wounds worse.
Yeah. It's like it's the Lord that
Ask the woman with the issue of blood right here, Mark 5, go and read it.
Yeah.
She's like, time didn't help me. It actually got worse for me over time. Only the Lord could help.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I just really felt like that's something that the Lord is just wanting to share as well. It's like, only keep believing, keep holding fast to what He has spoken. You know, he was telling, Jairus, like, I'm gonna heal your daughter. Don't listen to the reports. Don't listen to any of that.
Yeah.
I am here, and so I think that was just another little part of what
Another
the Lord
little
has
tidbit.
been sharing.
Yeah.
That has to do with time, really.
It does.
And
because he was out of time for what he asked the Lord to do. It was like, oh, it's too late.
Yep.
God's like, nope.
Yeah, and that's
nope.
I think that's the key. It's like, don't think that, maybe your situation there is something that you're just like, man, I've put this to death because I don't even have time. Like you feel like time has run out for you.
Yeah.
And God's like, it's not true. I am the maker of time, and I am the restorer of time. And so when I come in, I bring my resurrection power. It was the same that was true with, Lazarus. It's like 4 days later, and Jesus comes and says, nope, I'm resurrecting.
Or Sarah having children.
Exactly.
There's so many examples where God just...
far outside her time to have kids.
Well, there's so many examples where God just shows up and says, no, listen, I am God, not time. Yep. I don't answer to time. Time answers to me.
Exactly.
It's my servant.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many. We can make I mean, come on. We can make so many.
Yeah.
It's just not too late for anybody to receive the promise of God.
Yes.
Nothing is impossible with God. Every word that comes from God is not impossible to fulfill. In fact, He makes it so that it is impossible for man. So that when it does happen, we will believe and know that, wow, only God could do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't medical science. It wasn't my marketing skills. It wasn't whatever it is that we try to do to make something happen for ourselves. It's like, nope, that's not going to do it.
Yeah.
In fact, that's only going to make things worse a lot of times.
Yeah.
Look at Ishmael, which is another classic example, of someone trying to make it work and make it happen. It's just not. Got to trust the Lord and let Him do what He's going to do. So you want to go into the next thing?
Yeah,
or is there more?
Before we just, I don't know, I just really feel strongly that the Lord is saying, like, it is not too late for you. I don't know who this is for, but it's like, it is not too late for you. And I just, it's not too late for you to get married. It's not too late for you to have children. It's not too late for God to move in your life and for you to impact this world with what He wants to do because you're older. It's not too late for the Lord to move in your life. He doesn't care how old you are. He doesn't care how, age is... It's not even an issue for Him. And
neither is your past.
And neither is your,
or your present.
Or your abilities or anything. The Lord, if you are willing, He will move. And He will do far above and beyond anything you can ask Him for. And so, I don't know, it's just definitely on my heart just to say, once again, like, reiterate, it is not too late for what the Lord wants to do in your heart and in your life. So.
I thought you were ready to move on. You were getting a download, weren't you?
I was just...
See, I misread the silence. I was like, oh, she's ready to move on, so I'm done. Let's move on, I guess. It's like, oh, nope, the Lord's speaking.
Yep.
Okay, well, to cap off this whole times thing that God did for basically 7 days, it was crazy.
Yeah.
We woke up on the 8th day, and the Lord shared this thing with us about hiddenness and manifestation. And it's a really big issue, a big topic, but we're going to try to break it down really simple. And so just imagine that you have two circles. In one circle, hiddenness. In another circle above it, right, manifestation. Well, in hiddenness and in manifestation, you have different seasons and things going on. You know how you have seasons of life. You've got, winter, spring, summer, and fall, all within the same time frame called a year, right? Well, when you're in hiddenness, when you're in a time of hiddenness, you don't often feel the presence of God, and God can seem silent, and things don't seem to be working the way you want them to be working. It doesn't seem like anything's working. When you're in a season of hiddenness, it's like being in the wilderness, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when you're in a time of manifestation, it's like you're praying and God is moving. You're praying for people and people are getting healed. You pray for doors to open and the door opens and it's amazing. It's way more amazing than you thought it was going to be, and you go and you get the promotion. Not only you get the promotion, you get a signing bonus, and it's just like really cool things are popping all over the place, right? And you feel the presence of God. You just want to be in the presence of God for 4 or 5 hours and just be like, oh wow, this is amazing. And you know what I'm saying? And so it's like that's like the equivalent of being like in the promised land, where all the cool side of the 14 things in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 are happening in your life. And it's a time of that. And I feel like the Lord's saying, like, we've been in a time of hiddenness. And we've gone through different seasons within that time of hiddenness. And probably during those transitions from one season to the next season, we're thinking, oh, something great is going to happen. Something's great. We're going to come out of hiddenness. It's like, no. You're just going to a different season within the hiddenness. But I feel like the Lord is saying, like, that's what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to go from hiddenness to manifestation. It's like going from singled to married. It's like going from being married and just you to having children. There's things that happen in our life that is like, wow, that which was is no longer and never will be again.
Yeah.
It's like this is the new life and this is the new way things are getting ready to happen. And I believe it's going to be marked by all the things he had said the past 7 days before. Yep. We're going to see what? We're just going to see all the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
Yeah.
Because we waited. What would have become of me had I not believed I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living? So then it goes on to say, wait for the Lord, be expectant and hope. I think it's Psalm 27, 13 and 14 or something like that. And so in hiddenness and manifestation, there can be some confusion. Why? Because in hiddenness, you're praying for manifestation. And it's not happening. And you're mad and you're upset and you're bummed out and you're going, what's going on? God, you said you heard me. God, you said if I prayed. God, you said, God, you said, God, you said. And God's going, I know I said that. That's all true. It's absolutely all true. It's all, well, why aren't things happening? Well, things aren't happening because you're in a time of hiddenness. And every prayer you pray, every praise you give, every song of worship, every piece of your heart, every tear, everything that you're giving to me in this time of hiddenness, I'm taking as a seed and I'm gathering it and I'm collecting it. And it's to be sown into a time of manifestation. So when you cross that miraculous divide into your promised land, into a time of manifestation, you will see everything that you've sown sprouting and bearing fruit right then and there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You will walk into it, of course, some of the things that the Lord wants, he's going to hold on to as seeds so that you can plant in the place of manifestation, but it's going to sprout like bamboo. You know what I mean? And so it's like, so that's why it's so important to still just be listening to the Lord and continuing to believe and continuing to seek his face and his presence continually, because everything that you're doing in hiddenness is a sowing. When you give to ministries, you're sowing, and you may not see a benefit of it right then. Why? Because you're in a time of hiddenness, and it will manifest later. Hiddenness means it's hidden. It's like a baby is in a time of hiddenness for 9 months, and then there comes a day of manifestation. It's like, okay, your life's never going to be the same again because you're not going back in there. You know what I'm saying? And the mom's going, amen. Shoo. Anyway. But I'm saying, like, when you cross over from one time to another time, that time is over. The Lord told us at the beginning of this journey, at the beginning of this part of our journey, and the beginning of 2017, he was like, enjoy this now, enjoy this time, because it will never be like this again. And I did not understand that at all. When he said it, I just knew it was him, and I just took it by faith. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And now I understand it way more. It's like, it's so true. Because everything that we're doing, our whole life, when you cross from hiddenness into manifestation, everything changes.
Yeah.
God gave me a prophetic word in 2018 and recently where he just reiterated, like, I'm changing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything will change. It's like when you turn the power on in a place that's had the power off for 100 years. It's like everything changes, you know? And so, did you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, well, I just kind of really felt like...
I don't want to suck it all up.
No, I just thought it was really cool because I felt like, again, this was like kind of for me, a moment of just more healing, because it was like, oh, things are really starting to make sense for me, because it was like, wow, we really have been, and we've been in a place of hiddenness for a very long time.
Wow.
And
like longer than this YouTube channel's been on.
Well, yeah, it's been probably
it's been a while.
At least, almost basically 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
10 years. Awesome. We are ready to be overnight successes.
but even with like this particular journey, when we first moved to Kansas City, the Lord showed me that we were like this little green shoot that was coming out of the ground, and I didn't even understand it at the time. I just saw this vision.
In a cave.
But before we had moved there, we had felt like, oh, this is going to be our time to see all these things that the Lord had planted in our hearts. All these things that, we're like, oh, this must be where it's going to be. Like, we're going there, and we were thinking we were seeing
it's
the
manifestation.
It's our time.
Manifestation.
But in the Lord, it was just like,
not.
no, it's a still time of hiddenness. And as I've looked back, I'm like, wow, all these certain particular things that it was like, Lord, I really am praying for these things, but it just never seems to work out. And a lot of times, with the not understanding why things aren't going the way that you thought they were, a lot of times you take them inward. You start thinking like,
what did I do?
What's wrong with me?
Or what am I not doing?
Like for me in particular, I was just like, Lord, I really just want friendships. I want like other people to be in my life. And the Lord, it was very clear. Like it was like I could have like casual like relationships, or just a
here and there
little bit here or there. But even those relationships were never deep in any way. And it was just like, Lord, I don't understand this. Like, what is going on? But he's like, I've been using this hiddenness time to draw you close to myself. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the hiddenness is a time when the Lord is like, I'm drawing you really close to myself. And and there's something really special about the time of hiddenness.
Yeah.
And because it really is a place in which God can draw you close. It's almost like because he cuts everything off, that it's like all you have left is you and him.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, now let's just come together. Let me bring you into my heart. But so much of the time, if you don't understand that that's where you're at, it can be really frustrating.
Yeah.
And it can be like, but Lord, what about all these, and in that place, a lot of times he is speaking, just destiny, and he's talking about just all these wonderful things that he has for you, but it can be frustrating because you're thinking, well, why am I not seeing this? Why is it so vastly different than what I thought it would be? And so for me personally, it just really brought I think a lot more clarity to even what we've gone through over these years. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. That's why, there are moments that the Lord, though, he does give us where it's, I guess, kind of seemingly like manifestation moments, in the sense of like,
well, you get a little Costco sample.
Yeah, it's like
that's basically what you get.
It's like, here,
you're like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
Try this, and you're like, ooh, okay, this must be the start of it.
No, that's it. I just want to give you a little taste of what's coming.
Oh, okay. And it's like,
what's coming? You mean like what's coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
like what's coming next week.
Yes.
Are you going to talk about the time frame here?
Yeah.
Nope. It's like,
So yes, I feel like in Hiddenness, the Lord, he really does. He gives you samples of the manifestation because he wants you to taste it. He wants you to just be excited for what's to come. And so I think that's why it's just, I think why the Lord is like, I want you to see what's been going on. I want
Where
you
you've
to
been.
understand where you've been, but I also want you to understand where you're going, because I think that's where it's really important when the Lord does reveal things to understand this time and seasons that you're in.
Yeah.
Because if you realize, whoa, I am in hiddenness, then you can have your heart set right for the kinds of, to know that, this is a time of really sowing and really just being with the Lord. And sometimes the Lord, he does allow you to know, but then other times you just don't know, but you're just kind of going with him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a discovery thing. But also on the other side with the manifestation, he wants us to know so that, it's kind of funny, he wants us to know so we can go. When you're in hiddenness, a lot of it is waiting with the Lord.
Sure.
But in manifestation...
Waiting and sowing like a farmer.
But in manifestation, it's that harvesting and movement. There is just a movement within manifestation and that going with the Lord and his Spirit. And I think that's a huge difference between the two. Overall, it's just like in manifestation, it's like if you're receiving a word from the Lord, most likely you're going to start seeing movement. You're going to see the movement in that direction.
Yeah.
And as you go, he's going to be opening doors. You're going to actually see it.
Yeah.
Whereas before you might have received it and the Lord's just like, hold fast, keep holding.
Right. Yeah, well, in manifestation, you get a word from the Lord, and you just want to go and just be like, I'm just going to sit on this for a second. And it's like, no, that's hiddenness stuff. Come on, go. Let's go with it.
Yeah,
I'm giving you the authority. Let's move. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm blowing on your sails. Come on, man. You know?
Yeah.
And this was just different. And when you're in hiddenness and you're in a sailboat, it just nothing. Doldrums.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Maybe if we waved our hands fast enough, we could get some wind going in those sails. You know what I mean? And so.
Yes.
But one thing I did want to say, can I?
Yes.
Okay. One thing I did want to say that's like, this will be the last thing I say about it. It's the danger and the clarity. It's like a clarity and the danger of comparison. Because this is the truth. You're in a time of hiddenness, but your buddy over there, wherever he is in Germany or South Carolina or whatever, is in a time of manifestation. And so you're looking at their life from the tower of your hiddenness as they're reaping and sowing and reaping and sowing and reaping, and this is happening, that's happened in their life, and this is happening. Like they prayed and boom, it happened. They sought the Lord, and it seemed a little tough, but the Lord, come on, pray a little more, and you're going to get the breakthrough. They prayed a little more, bam, they got the breakthrough. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of that stuff they're doing, and I got nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the deal? Why? Because you're comparing your time of hiddenness with their time of manifestation. And it's just not it's not the same. You're not in the same place. You know, we've had situations like that recently in our family, right? Or just different situations that are popping up. And it's just like, oh man, the Lord just showed me so clearly, like, you see what's going on there? There's a comparison of hiddenness time with manifestation time, and you think you're doing something wrong. You're not.
No.
And it's just like, because you can't do something to make it happen to begin with, right? Okay, so then you're not doing anything wrong. I'm just not doing it. So the real question is like, Lord, why are you not doing it for me? Well, because you're in a time of hiddenness. But every single prayer, as soon as you set your heart to seek me and fast and pray and ask and seek and knock, I said yes, and I sent the answer. But I sent it into this, it's like God, when you're in a time of hiddenness, God sets your answers on these little glass windows. And they're just standing there on the window, so that when the time of manifestation comes, he pulls the lever and there it goes. It just goes right down to you. Well, in a time of manifestation, it's like being at the bank. So it's like, hey, God, I need some of this. Okay, shoo, and it just comes shooting down at you like in the little tube thingies,
Yeah.
I forget what they're called, but it just comes at you,
Mm-hmm.
You go in to pray for someone and things happen. I mean, just all kind of different things happen, It's like there can be so many different things that you can really, a hiddenness manifestation teaching can last for hours.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't compare your time of hiddenness to a time of manifestation. And you also cannot be in a time of manifestation and begin to judge those who are in hiddenness.
Yeah.
Because you can start judging them and being like Job's friends and be like, what are you doing wrong? You should pray. That thing should manifest right there. That should happen.
You just don't
if it's
have
the
enough
Lord,
faith. You
it
don't
should
have...
exactly. You're not believing enough. There's something wrong. No, it's not. They're just in a time of hiddenness in the Lord, and you're in a time of manifestation. There can be judgment on both sides.
Yeah.
And the Lord's like, don't do that. Just don't judge at all.
Yeah.
Be about me. The nation of Israel came out of a place of bondage. That was a time that the Lord had set. He told Abraham before there was a nation of Israel. He's like, this is what's going to happen. They're going to be 400 years in bondage. Well, that was a time set by the Lord. Hello, like the 70 years of bondage. And then when they came out, it was like, you're not just going to come out of bondage into the promised land. I'm going to bring you into an intimate relationship with me. Get soaked in me. Get just inundated with me so that you can go into the promised land with a proper heart relationship with me. Let the promised land be our dream home, and we're going to get married in the wilderness in the place of intimacy, and I'm going to carry you across the threshold of the Jordan into that promised land, and it's just going to be just about me and you. That's what the Lord's been doing.
Yeah.
That's what he's been doing. And so that's a place of hiddenness. So you go out of one place into a transitional place. They're both hiddenness places. Just in the wilderness, you get to taste that Costco sample of the miraculous power and stuff that's going to be coming in full-blown manifestation, which we saw when they got to Jericho and they started driving out. Hello, time to drive, because that's what we're coming into. We're coming into a time where God's going to be driving out things. Nothing is going to stand in the way of the church. It's just he's going to be driving out. But we already did a video on it. Go check it out. But it's like you can't judge someone when they're in a time of hiddenness, and you can't compare yourself to someone when that other someone is in a time of manifestation. You just got to know where you're at, and be content there. Because see, when you recognize, oh, I'm in a time of hiddenness right now, God's not listening to me. It's just he's collecting all my prayers. So therefore, he who sows little will reap little. He who sows much will reap much, but he who sows all will reap all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's why it's so important to believe, because when you believe, you'll just keep sowing. You'll just keep sowing in faith. You'll keep giving in faith. You'll keep declaring in faith. You'll keep listening to God and seeking his face, and whatever he says, you'll keep believing it in faith, and you'll take it in faith, knowing that no word that comes from God is void of fulfillment.
Yes.
It doesn't like, oh, the Lord spoke that word, but it didn't happen. Oh well. That never happens. Ever. And so I just wanted to just share that as well.
I love that.
That just like you can't compare and you can't judge. Both of those belong to the Lord, and the Lord tells us to not do either one of them.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do that. It's like the when and the how of the promise. God's like, don't mess with that. Don't touch it. Boy, I told you not to touch that pot. It was hot. Now your fingers are burned. I told you. That's gonna take days for that thing to heal. I told you. You know, we start messing with things that God says don't mess with. You know, what was that guy? He moved to steady the ark and died right then. It's like the Lord told you not to touch the thing.
Yeah.
Why did you touch it? You know, it's like, well, I didn't know it was that serious. Oh, I bet no one in history is gonna touch that thing now.
Yeah.
Say, sorry, you had to be the scapegoat. Sorry, you had to be the example.
Yeah.
But God said, don't touch it. Praise the Lord, because if every time we touch something that God said don't touch, I don't think there would be humanity. You know what I mean? As much as we love the Lord, sometimes we be touching that time frame and the how and the when and the what is this and what is that, and we be dead. We be dead. But anyway, so to recap, you know, it's a time to regain that which was lost along the journey.
Yeah.
God hasn't forgotten, and He's going to put us back together. He's going to mend us, time to mend. And you got to know when you're in a time of hiddenness and a time of manifestation, so that you don't compare or you don't judge.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so I think that's what we have for you guys.
Some people are like, couldn't you just said that in the first 5 minutes?
We could have.
No, we couldn't. We were talking to Devin and Michelle here. It's like, I'm surprised this video is this short. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I think that's all that we have for you guys, and we do pray that you are blessed and greatly encouraged by the words that the Lord is speaking.
And check out that K-Nash video.
Yeah. And again, until next time, we will see you later.
Yep. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.